Hello everyone, my name is Gary Zubinski, and this is part 3 of our complimentary introductory Python series. And today we will be learning about operators and user communication. So what are operators and operations? In Python, you are able to perform calculations of numbers using plus, minus, dividing symbol, and the multiplication symbol. And you can use these operators with two numbers. There are also other operators, but we will go into that later. You can make Boolean outputs using the less than sign, greater than sign, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to signs right here. And then this is to compare two different numbers, and what this will do is it will return true or false. Now we will go into our kernel and use some operators. And for say 3 or 4, it will return 12 because you're multiplying 3 and 4. And then if you were to write say 6 is greater than 8, it would return false because that is a false statement. So now we're going to go into our kernel. So how you do this is you would go home, and then you would go to notebooks. And after that, you go to your work, and you would click on your notebook. Our kernel has loaded, and what we will do for now is delete all the code blocks we have so far. And then in our first code block, we will write a first statement, 9 times 4. What this will do is return the product of 9 times 4, and as we can see, it's going to be 36. Say if we wanted to divide 12 and 4, for example, this should return 3. And if we wanted to subtract it, 12 minus 4, 8. And say 4 plus 9 or something like that, it should return 13. And now if we wanted to do a statement like 4 is greater than 9, this should return false because this is false. And then if we wanted to do 4 is greater than or equal to 4, it should return true because it's equal to 4. And so on and so forth. And now we'll learn about logical operations and operators. You can manipulate Boolean operations by using the AND or AND NOT operators, which can change Boolean outputs. The AND operator will return true only if the two Booleans are compared and are true, while the OR operator returns true if either both Booleans are true or if only one is true. As you can see in our example, if we write a statement, say, with parentheses, using PEMDAS, 5 is greater than 3 or 5 is less than 4. As you can see, one of these statements at least is true, 5 is greater than 3. This one is not true, the 5 is less than 4, but because one of them is true, this will return true because of the OR operator. The NOT operator changes the value of the Boolean to their opposite of its previous value. So NOT, 5 is greater than 3, returns false because 5 greater than 3 is true. So we will return the opposite of this. We will do this right now in our kernel. Say if we wanted to do something like 4 is less than or equal to 2, for example. This is false. Or NOT and 3 times 5, and we'll put this in parentheses. My apologies. And 3 times 5 is greater than 5. Or 3 times 5 is greater than 20. We could see that 3 times 5 is 15, is greater than 20, and that is a false statement. So this, in parentheses, would be a true statement because it's taking the opposite of this statement. And in this, 4 is most definitely not less than or equal to 2. So this will be false and 1 true. This would return a true statement. If we had an AND, this would return false because one of them is false. And for AND, both of them have to be true for the output to return true. So if you run this, you'll see it's false. And if we change this to OR, you'll see that this is true. Moving on. So now take a moment to figure out what will these return. Numbers 1, 2, and we will convene as soon as you've paused the video, solve these, and then we'll go over the solutions. All right, now we will go over the solutions. As we can see, 12 is greater than 3, so this will be a true statement, and 4 is less than 2, so this is a false statement. And this entire statement in parentheses, because there is one true and one false, it has to be false because AND has to have two trues. And then we have an OR NOT statement. That means this is okay if it's false as long as this is true. And as we can see, 7 is greater than 1. This is true, and the NOT turns it into a false, making this statement false and this one false. So this is 2 falses, making this whole statement false. Number 2, we could see that we have a not statement of 4 is less than 2. So this will be true because this statement inside here is false because 4 is greater than 2. Or this statement, we can completely ignore this because we know we have one true statement, so even if this is true or false, it will still return true. Now we'll talk about input and output. We talked a lot about input and output, but what do they really mean? Input is when you give a value to a function, like when you're typing the print statement. What's inside is the input of the print statement. And the output is what the function returns, which in this case would be type input if we use the function of type. And type uses the input of a variable, so it returns an output of the type of the variable and takes the input of the variable name. How would we ask for input? Well, it's quite simple. We would set a variable to the function input and then a string with a question of what you would like to ask the user. When you ask this user the question inside here and the user answers and presses enter, the value that they answered will be inside of the variable that you set this input string equal to. We will do this right now in Kaggle. If we want to set a user input, we could write, say, name, and then we could set it to input, what is your name? And when we run this, we can also print name, and this would give the output of what the user wrote as their name. So let's run this. So as you can see, it gives us an input box. Say our name is John. We press enter. It shows what is your name, John. It prints the output right after the input, and then it also prints the name. This first John is printed after the input just to show the user what their input was, and this next one is the value that was stored in the name variable. Now, how would we show the user the information? Well, we would use the print function, and the print function prints a value to the user, and we can call this function by typing print and then parentheses, as we talked about before. We could also write numbers into the print function by typing parentheses, a string, and then plus the number. This would simply print the string and then the number in string form. We can add as many numbers, strings, or floats to the end of the string as we want to. And in the next video, we will learn how to make this process much simpler and cleaner to format this print statement in a way that the user can read very simply and clearly. Thank you very much for watching. Please visit evolvecoding.com if you'd like to learn more about our 2020 summer course, or if you'd like to register for it, or if you want to contact us as well. Please visit our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages, or subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like the content. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.